professors, and the second P stands for PhDs, but not what you think. It is probably hard to describe them, right? That's what I meant as PhD, and I love them because they have a lot of curious doubts, because of which they do a lot of creative things. Probably I can call all those professors who are having doubts are real PhDs. Professors having doubts, right, literally create wonders, especially in the design thinking arena. So let me welcome you all once again to the exciting world of design thinking, where you all will be developing your own wings to fly like the birds in your own arena with LDO, listening, dialogue, and observation, which has been dealt earlier in the previous sessions. One will always end up learning a lot of new things, get triggered with insights, and will be going places like these birds. With that being the reference point, we will start our journey. Here comes the first challenge. So how many birds are flying in the previous screen? So participants, you have to type it in the chat box. You have to just type the number over there. So, and Professor Gautam, you need to tell me as and when the participant type in the numbers. Sure, so there were a few birds were flying in the previous screen. If you have observed it, you can type that in the chat box. Those who can't chat, you can use your workshop WhatsApp group, right, to communicate, so the professor can help me out from there as well. Is there any number is getting popped up?
Dr. Sujata Das has written more than one.
Okay, fine.
Priya Vinod 2541 has written around 20 plus.
20 plus, very good. Okay. See, some of you might not have observed the previous screen properly, right? So in that case, make a guess how many birds might be flying. So, and attach a logic to it, right? If possible. That's how you can start connecting the dots. I basically said, if you have not observed it, you can just guess a number and.
Sir, may I, though I have not counted,
okay,
but what I think that it should be an odd number.
But give me a number, odd number, that's okay, but give me a number to it. Okay. Why odd number, by the way? Any logic?
Because the pattern of flow is like there would be one leader and then it goes like in synchronization.
Good, that's a logic. So it reminds me of a joke where the interviewer asked the question to the candidate, which is far away, Moon or Mumbai? And our friend told Mumbai is far away. The reason that he said was, I can see the moon, but I can't see Mumbai. So Mumbai should be far away. That's his logic. I also accept his logical logic. Guys,
sir,
clap.
Sir, I got one more answer from Dr. Dhansri Nagar.
Okay.
That all the birds were flying.
Correct. Yeah, all the birds were flying. But how many? Number. Guys, before that, I told a joke and I never heard any laughter over there or a claps over there. Guys, if you don't do that, I won't get energy to share such a brilliant interview cracking tips. Yeah. Why I shared that joke is you can attach such logic to your numbers as well. Say, suppose you said 7, right? You can say there are 7 ragas are there and I like it, so I have chosen that number, something like that. Okay, any other answer popped up, Professor?
Dr. Dendukar, he has written 3.
3, okay. So why 3? So, guys, if you are able to unmute yourself, you can unmute and you can have a chat with me. Yes, go ahead.
So yeah. I have seen the 3 birds flying on the screen when I looked at.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Let me reiterate one more concept. Connecting the dots can happen when you ask the right question to yourself. Like, hey, any significant numbers have been discussed in the past session? Because of that question, you might get answers like, hey, I saw 3 laws of design thinking. I heard about 3 models of design thinking, that 4-pronged approach, 5-step process, 13 musical notes of design mind. Oh, Professor
Yes, sir,
Sudipto was
yes.
referring to 13 elements of design mind, and my colleague Ramakrishnan also touched upon it, right? Since there are a lot of birds over there, right? Now your mind will prefer to choose the maximum number that I've told. Might be that number 13, right? Just you're connecting the dots and you're making a guess. And incidentally, that happens to be the right answer. Let me give an applause for all those who have participated. Yeah, so good start. And also let me give a high five. Okay, so a virtual high five I'm giving it. Guys, you have to give me back the high fives, right? So I'm not saying the high fives are coming back. The point is this: if you start observing things, you will be able to grasp many more information. Let's get back to the session. Now, if I show the previous screen again, you will not be observing the screen as you observed it earlier. It will be much, much different. Yes or no? So let me have the privilege of giving you the experience of observing something very keenly. Here we go. A keen observation reveals so many things. Wow. Okay, I hope people are better prepared this time. Your mind would have scanned the screen literally. Hope you get up for any sort of questions, right? But what psychology says is, though the human mind sees or observes things in full, still it would not capture the entirety. Let's see how we have observed the screen. Here comes the question. Uh-oh, this time a different question. This is what you do it with your students, right? Students will expect a pattern of questions in the exam, and you know their mind, and you change the questions completely. That's what I did here. I know what sort of questions you would be expecting, so I changed it completely. Psychology is always right. We always focus on what is being told or what is being intended, right? So any answers getting popped up, Professor Gautam?
3.
3, again, same number, okay. How many times the word design is displayed? Okay. Since I know a little bit of a mind reading, some of you are saying in your mind, hey, let him show the screen one last time and I will get everything correct, right? But how will you get everything correct? Very simple. Take a photo of my screen. That's it, right? Then you can leisurely watch through it. I'm revealing the way how you can get it right. Be smart now. Friends, it's perfectly okay for me, even if you take the snapshot of my screen. Okay, I'm going to show my screen one more time, but this time I reveal the question upfront and you have to just find the answer. Very simple. And the question is just the previous question. I mean, the question that is getting displayed over here. How many times the word design is displayed? Please find out. How many times the word design is displayed? Okay, Professor,
Yep.
is there any answers are popping up?
Yes,
Are they
sir.
typing
5.
in?
5.
5. Okay, from 3 it has gone to 5. Wonderful. I give a high five to them.
I got another answer that
4.
is 4.
4. Okay, very good.
Yeah. Let me try this.
Is that the maximum?
Yes, sir. 5 is the maximum.
Okay, guys, if you observe it, you will spot few more. I repeat, if you observe it, you will spot a few more.
It is 14.
Pardon? Pardon, ma'am?
Is it 14?
1-4.
Sir,
Yes.
I've got another
No.
take that is 6.
6. Okay, 6 has come up. Okay, but there is some more.
Yeah,
See, the
Professor
question
Praveen
holds
Srivastava is saying 8.
8. Wow. See, those were, somebody said 8, and some of you are scratching your head. Hey, come on here. I can maximum see 3. Some of you said 5. Some gone 6, and someone is saying 8. And the ma'am who had told 14 might be she. I hope you would have counted the birds. No, that's not the point. The point is, whatever the question that I've asked, how many times you're seeing the word design? That's it. Okay. Friends, you would have come to an important conclusion. If we observe keenly, we will always end up learning a lot many new things. In fact, I started off the session by saying LDO, listening, dialogue, observation, will allow you to learn many things. That's what my colleagues were also emphasizing on. Along with your keen observation, when you do listening and dialoguing, a lot of things comes to your understanding, which will make you empowered to go ahead and solve different sorts of problems.
So Dr. Divya has written 9 actually.
Okay, bang on. So I give a round of applause for Divya, ma'am. And you're closer to it. The answer is 10. Okay. So I give high fives to all those who have participated. Since my video is not getting popped up, so basically I'm giving a high five. I hope you're also giving a high five back to me. Remember one thing: Wi-Fi and high five should be there in this connected world. That's a place where you gain a lot of energy, a lot of motivation. So with this, we are moving on to a very, very interesting area. Let's make our learning solid by jumping into this very, very interesting activity. I hope you're all ready to get into this activity. Only when the soil is prepared well, the seeds will sprout. Similarly, when the mind is prepared well, the ideas sprout. By participating 100%, you are preparing your mind to go to the next level. Here we go. Assume you're going to design something pretty interesting, more than a Tesla car. Who knows, it could turn out to be a billion-dollar idea, right? Here comes the challenge, and listen to it carefully. Each one of you seated over here have been hired as a design consultant. I heard some background noise. Can you all guys go on mute? So only when you want to talk to me, you can unmute yourself and come back. Oh, thank you. So each one of you seated over here, I'm repeating it again. You have been hired as a design consultant by the Ministry of Human Resources of Floratia, a small country which is well known for taking care of elders of their country. It is an elderly friendly nation. 80% of the elderly population stayed in assisted living old age homes. These 80% elders have their daily meals at government approved subsidized canteens. It is found that somewhere 60% of elders have poor nutritional value and another 20% are malnourished. And the government doesn't know why this problem exists and want to address this problem at the core, right? So a few points to be noted here is there is no corruption in the government and the funds allocated for elderly population reach them properly. The services provided in the canteen was also okay because there were no complaints, and the employees in the canteen are all qualified. If such is the nature of the situation, why the elderly population are malnourished? Can you make an attempt on this particular challenge thrown at you? How to solve this problem? And only for which you have been hired as a design consultant to suggest a feasible and a sustainable idea. Now you can unmute yourself and start telling your viewpoint.
Sir, appointing a nutrition in the team of the food providers for the elder. And another thing is, and they need to change monthly or quarterly the menu, so that the people will get nutritious food from time to time or season wise.
But there were no complaints, right? As I was narrating it, there were no complaints.
No. It is not a complaint, sir. It should be there. Season wise nutritious food should be provided to the elderly population.
Okay.
Because the health will change at the age of after 60, after 70.
Okay.
So egg or meat is suitable for the younger population, and the elder population don't require that.
Very good. Yes. So here, we are getting only pockets of information I have shared, based on which you are giving your feedback. Assume, right, that particular country, Florasia, was I was narrating, right? It was an elderly friendly country. So I hope so they would have taken care of whatever the requirement that you have told. They are giving the seasonal food, all such things. In spite of that, they are malnourished. If that be the case, what could be the problem?
Sir, may I?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
The food is being provided properly, considering the nutrition and all those things, nutrition, calories, etc. But it is for them to make sure that the elderly people are taking them properly, that they are eating it properly.
But how will I do that? Okay, yeah, fine. You got it right. So,
and
no, let her finish, ma'am. Let her finish. Yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
Second thing, maybe they need a change in their lifestyle, the day-to-day life. These 80% of people are there in the old age home because they don't have anybody to properly take care of them in their own homes.
Yes.
So they may be more lonely, and their lifestyle may need a change. They may need to get out for some time. Maybe so if they are on a wheelchair, they need somebody to take them around the garden, or maybe have some good chat and things like that. They should enjoy their life better. And the mental conditions actually tend to be more impactful on the general wellness of a person.
Oh, wonderful, ma'am. You are touching on another interesting area, right? The emotional aspect, right?
Yes.
You're getting it.
May I?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Just you tell your name, because I cannot see the participants.
Yeah, I'm Malti, MALTHA, Malti from Cochin.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, you can go ahead, ma'am. Yeah.
Sir, good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Sir, the Ministry of Human Resource need to appoint some dietitian to counsel those old age peoples how they could able to change their lifestyle at this age, so that it will be beneficial to them to have good nutritious food at right time and right way.
Okay. Don't you think, since they are senior citizen and they would have already got such sort of information, but in spite of that, might be you can attribute to one particular thing, they are old age people, but still, right? Okay, that point is taken. Wonderful point. Because those are all the checklist point could be done. Yeah, yes, sir.
Sir, we have to know the people likes and dislikes about the food.
Okay.
So when we are knowing the likes and dislikes, accordingly we change the patterns of the food as per the nutrition requirements. Accordingly, we will provide a food for them.
Okay.
May I?
Yes, sir. Wonderful, sir. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Sir, can we go with a more personalized service, as like the previous that previous madam, she said, dietitian. So we can just take the help of the dietitian, and what exactly each individual, each elderly person, what exactly as per their preference also, we can look forward in that way, and even the cost also we can reduce by that way.
Cost is subsidized. I told you, right? It's a subsidized canteen.
Yes. So little more actually by personalized service.
Okay. Beautiful, ma'am. Beautiful. So you're bringing in the modern concepts, right? What the banks and
yes, more of like personalized, because that's what we each individual we're looking forward to.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Catering to their needs, right? The likes and
Exactly.
dislikes. Wonderful, ma'am. Wonderful. So, any other guys? Before you attempt, just imagine, you know, put something in your mind that your near and dear ones, right, are there in such a situation, right? Now you become much more closer to that problem. Hey, and you will begin to ask the question, hey, why they are not taking it? What could be the reason? With that question being addressed to your near and dear ones, now your interpretation will start slowly, get changed to a different direction.
Sir, may I add on something more?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
They may have some other condition by which the food is not being properly digested. So there may be another series of tests which reveals what exactly their physical state is and what the problems relating medical conditions they are in.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, see, because of that condition, that physical condition, right, it might inhibit or it might make me not to take that particular food item. Wonderful. See how beautifully you started thinking about it. Good, man. So,
thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other viewpoint?
Sir, I got one answer in chat box.
Yes, sir.
This is from Dr. Annama. Help with being served and explained about the diet. May not be able to see or comprehend well. So to be motivated to eat with a little encouragement, with eating as an accomplishment, which
okay.
actually is for the elderly.
Yeah, yes, true. Very good, very good. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
This is Dr. Dhanashri. Usually, we observe that elderly people have a habit that they keep on saying that I won't be able to have this much food. So they must have made up their mind that they can have only half of the meal out of the total portion that has been served to them. So that could be the possibility that the food is pretty much good. So even it is been served in a well manner, but the right form of diet they are not taking as their intake. So this could also be one of the reason that they have made up their mind that I won't be able to digest this much food, so I should go for the little.
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. We are assuming a lot of things. Wonderfully, we are all assuming it. What else? Okay. So the above one, whatever I have shared as a case study, it was a fictitious one.
But I've got one more answer in our WhatsApp group.
Yes.
This is from J. Gayatri, Dr. J. Gayatri. A social group can be formed to sit together and have food.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
And there is one observation from Dr. Rituraj. I can see only picture of people serving something. Okay.
Okay, guys, you are able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So the above one that I shared was a fictitious case study, but it has really happened in Denmark, an European country. This is what Mr. Rohit was also referring yesterday about Good Kitchen video, right? We will see that video now and then have our discussion continue. Okay, Professor, can you play that video? I stop sharing my screen now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just playing it on.
illustrate the design thinking process that we've been talking about, I'd like to tell you a story about design thinking in action. As we go through that story, I will note different tools and approaches that are being used. Then at the end of this session, I'll tell you about some additional resources we have available so that you can learn more about them. Now, you can use design thinking to solve all sorts of problems. Let's walk through one example to illustrate what it looks like in the real world. To do so, we're going to travel to Denmark, a country long recognized for its distinctive attention to design. The Danes, like citizens in most developed countries, recognize that the aging of their population presents many challenges. One of these is serving the more than 125,000 senior citizens who rely on government-sponsored meals. Danish municipalities deliver subsidized meals to people who suffer from a reduced ability to function, whether that is due to illness, age, or other conditions. Many of these seniors have nutritional challenges and a poor quality of life because they simply do not eat enough. An estimated 60% of elders living in assisted living have poor nutrition. An estimated 20% are actually malnourished. In response to this growing social problem, the municipality of Hustebro decided to dedicate their efforts to improve meal service for seniors, and they invited Danish innovation firm Hatch and Bloom to work with them to figure out how to improve the nutrition of their elderly population. Municipal leadership saw the project initially as straightforward. In order to get seniors to eat more, the current menu just needed improving. And they wanted Hatch and Bloom to ask elderly clients about their menu preferences. This is a great example of how too narrow a definition of the problem to be solved can drive a lot of innovation right out the window before you even get started. The opportunity turned out to be much greater. And what Hatch and Bloom ultimately produced was much more than just a new menu. It was a completely redesigned meal service that offered higher quality, more flexibility, and increased choice. This dramatic reframing of the opportunity emerged from the user-centered design approach that Hatch and Bloom brought to the process, in which they discovered that merely fixing the menu wouldn't solve the nutrition problem. Let's look at some specifics about how they did it. They began by exploring what is, digging deep into seniors' behaviors, needs, and wishes, using observation and interviewing to identify their elderly clients' living situation and try and get at their unarticulated needs. The approach they chose to use was ethnographic. The specific tool they used was journey mapping. The journey mapping tool follows a customer or stakeholder as they receive a product or service or go through a process. It pays attention to what designers call the job to be done. In some ways, journey mapping is not that different than the kind of flowcharts or supply chains we might use in business, but there are some crucial differences. Journey mapping recognizes that most of us are trying to do jobs that are both functional and emotional. A lot of the unarticulated needs turn out to be on the emotional side, making this tool very valuable for uncovering hidden opportunities to create better value for people. Hatch and Bloom used journey mapping to trace the experience of the elderly from beginning to end. They rode with food service employees who delivered the meal. They accompanied them into the homes. They watched as clients prepared the food, added ingredients, set the table, and then finally ate the meal. They also interviewed the supervisor of the food preparation process in her workplace. And what they saw in the kitchen surprised them. Working in a public service kitchen was a low-status job in Denmark, and kitchen employees seemed demoralized and unmotivated. It was not going to be enough to focus on the needs of the elderly, team members realized. They would need to address the problems of the employees producing the meals as well. And so the team decided it was important to broaden the scope of the project beyond just improving the menu. And they helped the municipal officials understand why this was necessary. From this dual focus, on the people preparing the meals and on the seniors receiving them, a set of interesting insights began to emerge. They discovered that both the seniors and the kitchen workers had important emotional needs that were not being met. They were both experiencing feelings of disconnection and alienation. The social stigma of even having to receive such assistance weighed heavily on the clients. They were embarrassed. Help for cleaning was considered acceptable in Danish culture, but help for more personal needs was much less so. It also mattered who was providing the help. In Denmark, a senior hoped to receive assistance from a relative or a friend. If that was not possible, perhaps one could hire someone. But it was a last resort to receive assistance from the government. Also painful to seniors was the loss of control over their food choices. We discovered that deciding what kind of food they put in their mouths was the second most important thing for the elderly after taking care of their personal hygiene, the head of the Hatch and Bloom team told us. And they hated eating alone because it reminded them that their families were no longer around. All of these factors contributed directly to the nutrition problem and put it in a broader context. The less they enjoyed their situation, the smaller their appetites. The kitchen workers, Hatch and Bloom learned, were making the same boring, low-cost meals over and over, not because they lacked skills or because they just didn't care, but because of the perceived economic and logistical constraints that prevented them from doing something more interesting. The team also found positive things, however. They discovered that the generation of seniors they studied was very responsible and capable in the kitchen and had a keen sense of the seasons and positive associations with seasonal foods such as apples in the fall and strawberries in the summer. They also often tried to customize their meals by adding spices or using their own potatoes or vegetables. The Hatch and Bloom team also discovered that the kitchen workers really did care and wanted to do a good job. Once team members had finished their ethnographic research, they moved into the what-if stage. For this, they wanted to enlist a broader group of stakeholders in understanding the nature of the challenges and participating in creating a new and better meal service. They wanted to co-create with their important stakeholders. To accomplish this, they had a series of workshops that brought together a diverse set of stakeholders. It included public officials, volunteers, experts in elderly issues, kitchen workers, and employees of residential care facilities. Together, they reviewed the ethnographic research and developed insights and design criteria to form idea generation. This kind of co-creation is another important design tool. Inviting stakeholders into the creative process creates ownership and engagement as well as producing better ideas. The co-creation tool will turn out to be useful in every one of the 4 questions, as you'll see later. In the second question, Hatch and Bloom used a brainstorming process in which facilitators used analogies as trigger questions to help shift participants' mental models of food service as they generated ideas. The facilitators asked participants to think of the kitchen as a restaurant, triggering a creative rush. The kitchen workers, they assumed then, must be the chefs. And if they were the chefs, who were the waiters? This began to bring ideas like the condition of the vehicles used for meal delivery into the discussion. They continued to work with the restaurant analogy as they considered the food itself. Until that point, the menus had been minimalist, factual descriptions of the food, perhaps detailing how it was prepared. For instance, one item read, liver, potatoes, and sauce. That's not exactly a description that will make your mouth water, is it? But now participants in the workshop started to wonder, maybe we should look at actual restaurant menus. Maybe we should describe our meals in a completely different, more enticing way. The third workshop moved them into the what wow stage and continued to emphasize the design tool of co-creation. But this time, co-creation was used to test ideas rather than generate them. This third workshop was much more hands-on and involved prototyping, at least in a rough way, the solutions coming out of the what if workshops. For example, Hatch and Bloom worked with participants on 3 different versions of the menu, asking them which they liked and how they felt about various aspects, such as the colors they favored and whether they preferred photos or illustrations. They used a design tool called visualization to make these different options feel more real to participants. Visualization is one of the essential design tools. It's not about drawing, a skill that many of us don't have. It's about using imagery to make an abstract idea more public and more concrete so that it will be more visible, clear, and understandable to others. Hatch and Bloom didn't talk to people about the different options. They showed them the different options. They then moved into what works, testing prototypes with different combinations and ways of presenting the food with actual customers. The learning from this initial set of experiments resulted in a second project with some quick packaging design changes that allowed for more modular meals where components were separated instead of being mixed together. The process also yielded new uniforms for employees and a new name, The Good Kitchen, that reflected everybody's aspirations. It also includes communication channels, using newsletters and comment cards to keep clients and the kitchen staff in close touch with each other. And so, a process that began with a simple mandate, fix the menu, evolved into something much more significant as it moved through the 4 questions, using design tools like journey mapping, co-creation, prototyping, and experimentation. That process yielded a host of dramatic changes, a new menu, new uniforms for staff, new feedback mechanisms, but equally important, it made everyone involved cognizant of the real people they were serving or being served by. Today, Hoosterbrau's seniors know who is shaping their meatballs and preparing the gravy in the kitchen. And this relationship between the kitchen staff and the customers, which is now both personal and professional, has increased greatly the satisfaction of both. The results speak for themselves. Reorganizing the menu and improving the descriptions of the meals drove a 500% increase in meal orders in the first week alone. But the results were much more about the number of meals served. One of the most important elements of the transformation was the shift in employees' perception of themselves and their work. The kitchen workers are now much more satisfied and motivated. As a result, customers are happier with their food. If you have professional pride, you'll also cook good food. Anne Marie Nielsen, the director of the Good Kitchen, told us. Good food has to come from the heart. What we are talking about in the Good Kitchen story is about more than just developing new products or services. We're talking about innovating the entire business model. I'd like you to spend a few minutes now listening to Jeremy Alexis, a professor at the Chicago Institute of Design, as he shares his views on the importance of business model innovation.
Okay, thank you, Professor. So friends, so you can get this video in YouTube. You just type Good Kitchen. You will get to see this video, and you can play it one more time, and you get triggered with different insights. But before that, let me congratulate the elite people over here. You have already started thinking like a design thinkers, right? The way you have provided the solution, some of the thing got matched with the consultants, which they did it in a very, very elaborate way. Okay, so let's do a debriefing of this video so that certain points gets reinforced in our understanding. Professor Gautam, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
in a full screen mode?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what was the original problem statement, right? Fix the menu for the elders. This is the problem statement that the government gave to the Hatch and Bloom consultants. But what they did was they didn't buy that problem statement. They intuitively understood the problem could be something else. The problems could be unearthed only when you do listening, dialogue, observation with the respective stakeholders. As a result, many unstated needs came out, and most of them are on the emotional side. Yeah, these are the few other things that has been observed by the Hatch and Bloom consultants. Here comes a different stakeholder, right? The kitchen staff, right? How they feel about themselves, because they are the one who's creating, the so-called delicious and nutritious food. So here is the punchline. It's the poor mindset of the elders and the poor mindset of this kitchen staff results in something, what we culminate as a food, and that has not been consumed by the elderly people. So what has happened over here is the problem statement itself got redefined. So what was the initial problem statement? Because you need to refer it back, only then you will be able to understand. When I start refining the problem statement, you get to see the problem from another dimension. Now, how did they go implementing it? They started using several tools. They started questioning the status quo, right? Why can't a food delivery system be as a restaurant, right? That itself a pretty huge shift in the thought process. Chefs became the kitchen staff became chefs. Suddenly, you're inculcating the pride factor in them, right? A new fancy name for the restaurant, that is the good kitchen, which is widely accepted and adopted by different sections in that country. If you have professional pride, you will also cook good food. Good food has to come from the heart. This is a very powerful statement, right? Obviously, the so-called the kitchen staff who have been turned as a chef got that professional pride, and the outcome is what? They were able to see the 500% increase, right? Within a week after implementing this particular model. So redefining the problem statement not only created opportunities, but fulfillment to all the stakeholders. And that has happened because they focused on the people who are facing the problem. That's what the design thing is all about, right? That human-centric approach, right? We are looking the pain point from the person who's facing that problem. And as a result, we are able to pinpoint it, and when we are able to address it, and nothing like it. Important thing to remember is what? Redefining the problem statement. So now, we move on to the next one. Before that, do you have any other inputs to share? Or any other insights that you got from this case study? Okay, let's move on. Now, the next one that we are going to see is even more interesting. Get ready for it. Here, I'm not going to speak because it is somewhat serious in nature. You have to be mindful and empathetic about the next challenge that is going to be given to you. Okay. Once you have understood the challenge, you can go ahead in solving it. Okay, here we go. So go through this one slider case study and take the challenge. Guys, can you unmute? Can you mute yourself? I can hear the background noise. Oh, thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question, sir?
Yes, of course.
Sir, there is one note written at last, assume data wherever necessary. So I want to understand what does this mean?
So it is like, people normally say it is because lack of incubators. It is because of that this problem is keep on repeating. So now you can assume the data. There are n number of incubators are available. So
Okay.
incubators was not at all a problem.
Okay.
Right? So like that,
Sure.
you can put the data.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes,
Sir.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, if the availability of incubators is of good amount, then if the incubators were empty, then it is of no use then. Still the problem exists.
Yes.
So if the government will look after the eradication of the problem, then government should not look upon the cost of the incubators.
Okay.
It should not reduce the cost. If it will reduce the cost of the incubators, sir, then the problem will exist. There will be empty incubators.
Okay.
Yeah. So this thing should be taken care of by the government at the root level, sir.
No, that's okay. But as of now, right? What is the problem that is running in that particular village or in that particular area? See, right now the incubators are there. In fact, it is there in excess, right?
Yeah.
And it's not even occupied. But I am seeing the mortality rate is going down as well. The kids are dying. Then what's the problem? Earlier, see, incubators are quite costly machine, right?
Yes.
So
the
government went for not even the government, the NGO and all started requesting from different countries as well. So those affluent nation started giving the so-called incubators absolutely free of cost. Suddenly they received so much of incubators. That's what I meant as assume data wherever necessary. I'm assuming such data, right? A lot of incubators came in. So the expectation was the infant deaths will be reduced, but the data shows the other way. It was on the normal thing. I mean, normal in the sense it was as usual. It is not at all getting reduced. Then when people started analyzing it, they came to know incubators are there and it is not being used. And maybe that's where the third point would give you the clue, right?
Sir, I would like to make an attempt to answer the questions if you allow me.
Yes, of course. Go ahead, ma'am.
Sir, I think the problem basically is not the availability of incubators, but maybe the optimum utilization of that is missing. So this is the problem is. And if we look for the solution, I think number one, what I can suggest is if the government or the NGOs in collaboration, if they can come up with some kind of mobile vans where mobile vans.
Vans, okay.
Vans, transportation.
Yeah.
For transportation where they have the basic, first aid available, so that they make sure that the kids, can be actually the infants can be brought from villages to the hospitals on time with the basic aids, so that the mortality rate can be decreased. Number one. Number two, at the same time, at local level, there can be, a lot of awareness programs that can be generated by the NGO, wherein they can use different posters, they can meet the parents, and they can, actually guide them, especially the families where, the ladies are pregnant or they are planning to have families, so they can be guided about the availability of different options, how they can take care of the newborn baby. So maybe that awareness can be generated with some interactive marketing campaigns which are suitable to the villagers, which are understandable by them. And for the third point, which is the source of electricity, so definitely there are still a lot of areas where electricity is an issue. So again, if there something can be done, obviously we can use some design thinking, some different way of maybe how we can use maybe sun, solar energy or wind energy to come up with some alternative of basic ways of getting the electricity, and making sure that we develop some basic infrastructure at the local level, so that even we can take care of the infants at the villages as well.
Oh, wonderful, ma'am.
Thank you.
So before you attempt, sir, so you've given a lot of solution, but my focus will be on what exactly is the problem. Earlier, when people were tried to avoid this infant deaths, they considered incubators were the problem. That's how they've defined it. And now that they started getting a lot of incubators, but still the problem exists. If that be the case, I want to pinpoint it. This is the problem. If you want to pinpoint it, what you will say?
Sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. Before that, the sir can answer because he won't. He raised his hand first. Yes, sir. Sir, you are about to share some viewpoint.
May I, sir?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Sir, this incubator are providing the right kind of incubators at the hospitals is the secondary. We need to go to the grassroots level problem.
Okay.
Why that immortality is the mortality rates are increasing, particularly in developing nations. We need to concentrate on that. First, we create awareness from the conception stage to the delivery stage.
Okay.
That creation of the awareness, and after that we need to provide some nutritious diet to the what do you call pregnant women, so that we can what do you call give some solution to this particular problem.
Okay, you are approaching from that angle. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Can I answer?
No, the ma'am was about to say something, and then you can come, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I think incubators is not the basic problem. It is actually the health conditions and addictions of the parents and the malnutrition mothers and the lack of informed testing measures and treatment procedures. So we have to take care of the mother right from the start, and they have to be provided with nutritious food, and any sort of addictions like liquor or drugs has to be done away with. And another one, they're talking of the incubators, but we have other natural resources like the sunlight in place of incubators. We don't need incubators at all in a place where we have to travel loads, and maybe we don't have the right measures of travel. And we can, one other thing we can provide is the good travel measures, good and cheap travel measures. Maybe we can take them to the. Another one is providing good hospital facilities in the premises of the village, the rural village itself, because there is a large number of death cases being reported in such rural places.
Okay. Yeah, wonderful. You provided a wide variety of solutions. Good, man. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Can I answer this?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think the problem is that the children will never make it to the hospital because they do it at the last moment. Okay, so we need something which is which can be there in the village itself, which is inexpensive and which takes care something which runs without electricity and things like that. Probably that would be more appropriate solution to this problem, because the problem is that at the last moment I have seen in the last moment they try to bring to the hospital. So that's the reason why they don't make it to the hospital. So because of they'll try everything they have there, and then last moment when it goes beyond their hand they bring. So they will never make it. So we need to have the solution which is much more closer to them. That probably would help it out.
Okay. So okay, that's another interesting way to look at it. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So I think if as university students one is trying to figure out a solution for this problem, instead of looking at
which problem?
The problem that I'm specifically referring to point 3, because you mentioned that let's look at point 3.
No. I'm saying okay. I'm just hinted that, so you can take the cue from there.
No, because I kind of focused on that problem, because going back to a long-term solution at this point when you are at the brink of a problem could be very difficult. But in terms of product designers or designers and engineers can come together to create some sort of portable incubators, which can look into the problems and which is easy to sort of deliver to villages and areas that are not so easily accessible. So that could be one of the possible solutions to look at. Now, how it is designed and how can that be done obviously is a design process which can be looked into later.
Yeah. Very good, ma'am. Very good. Superb. So once you go closer to the problem, you will start interpreting in a different way. That's what this university students also did, right? Because they got the data that a lot of incubators are there, but in spite of that, why the kids are dying, right? With that empathetic approach, when they started exploring it, then they found, see, the third point that has been mentioned, right? Many infant deaths occurred in rural villages. Infants often died en route to the hospital, which means what? When they were taking the kids to the hospital, right? Might be the road facility may not be a proper, because it's from a village that to a rural village, might be 70-80 kilometers, or even probably 100 kilometers, or even more than that. So if that be the case, it takes 10 hours, 12 hours, or sometimes even a day, to cross over from their village and to reach an hospital. During that period, the kids were dying. The infant, the deaths are happening. So if that be the case, when you start analyzing it, now you will see that, okay, might be, as someone suggested, I need to provide a mobile van. That could be one of the option, or I need to lay proper roads. But assume it's not one village, it's rural villages. Multiple villages will be in that sort of a stature. So, of course, those things has to be planned in, but not an immediate viable solution. But the roads has to be laid for 100 kilometers or 150 kilometers. It's a pretty huge task. That's where that mobile vans can come in. But is it possible all the time? Because when that, people who are in the pregnancy state, anytime anything can happen. So they need to rush to the hospital. If that be the case, the one obvious solution will be, okay, let me park an ambulance in every village. That could be the one of the option. But when you start analyzing it furthermore, by redefining the problem statement, hey, what else could be the problem? Or if the infant reached the hospital in time, right, the problem would have been solved. That's where your road system and your transportation system comes into play. Or if these things are not there, what else could be be considered with respect to tackling this problem? So someone said, I need to have something workable in the village itself. That will be much more doable, right? When I keep something at a village level, right, I need to have some sophisticated equipments, and that's where the low literacy rates, meaning they will not be able to operate it. So a doctor has to be there. But those are all the practical things, people will eventually come out. But as of now, to tackle this particular problem, to make the kid reach hospital in within that predefined time, what should I do? And for that, what is the actual problem in this case?
Can we use the technology?
Yes, that's the solution part, sir. So before that, I want to still go back to this. What exactly is the problem? What you said at a macro level, you have to take care of the pregnant woman, you have to educate them, you have to provide the nutritious meals.
Yes, yes.
Now, let me give this idea to you. See, the kids that are born, or what they call the premature babies and all, they tend to die. So what the hospitals do, they keep the babies in incubators. Right. So basically what they provide is, they provide an atmosphere or the environment, the heat environment, so that the kids will survive. After a few days, it comes back to normalcy. Now, when the same situation, let me finish it, then you can respond it back. When the same situation happens at the rural villages, right, they can't deploy the physical incubators which is available at the hospital, right? I can't keep that incubators at villages. The reason being, no reliable source of electricity, point number one. Point number two, since because of that low literacy rate, they may not know how to operate it. If at all, if I give the permission for the pregnant mother to operate, no, that's not possible, because they don't know, it's such a complicated system. and other things. Suppose if it gets repaired, and that could be addressed. The third point could be addressed much later on. But the first two things will be a problem, right?
Researching on the premature baby-related problems.
And this is the problem, right? The baby has to be kept warm.
That's okay, why prematurity is happening in the
that is at a different level, right? Your malnutrition, all such stuff comes in. Right now, yes, that baby has come in, right? Now, as a doctor, I am supposed to protect that child. That I will do it when they come to my hospital. But right now, that particular child has born, right?
Yes.
Sir,
So
may I,
now,
sir, may I speak something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Even in our panchayat system, in villages, we have got Anganwadi Kendras.
Correct.
And there are Asha Didis and Sevikas who work there. So if they are trained, and if they can handle these equipment, I mean the incubators, and some incubators are deployed in those Anganwadi Kendras, so that can be a help to those villagers.
Oh, good.
And if there is no reliable source of electricity, even the solar panel can be installed there.
Okay. Yes. But how about on the rainy period? Like this November, December?
Yeah, so some source of renewable energy can be taken care of.
Good. So one last from the participant, then I will let's go deep into it.
Sir, Dr. Sujata Das has written in chat box that NGOs can build up rural dispensaries where doctors, nurses can be appointed to take proper care of the village people in collaboration with the government, with proper electricity, incubators, and basic amenities required to get rid from infants' deaths. And awareness buildings and motivation by the university students can be done to the village people about the healthcare services provided.
No, they knew it, right? The village people knew it, and they also know this problem is there, right? Commute from my village to the hospital. Multiple requests have been given to the government. See, unlike the previous case study, wherein in the Good Kitchen, the government is much more friendlier. They want to ensure the senior citizens to be happy, right? And of course, that's a pretty developed nation. They have got the funds to do all such things. Whereas this one, in this case, it's a developing nation, but still they were able to get the incubators, but that does not solve the purpose, right? Okay, now coming back, when the students analyzed it, then they have narrowed down to this problem like, hey, I think the babies, what the incubators do, the incubators make the baby warm, right? The problem is I need to keep the baby warm more till I reach the hospital. That's the crux. Forget about the incubators in the first place. Incubator is a solutioning part. Now the problem is what? I need to take the baby to the hospital from my place, wherever my place is. It could be 100 kilometer or 200 kilometer, whatever be the distance. It could even take one day or 2 days to commute. But my problem is I need to keep the baby in a warm mode, right? Till I reach the hospital. The moment I reach the hospital, the doctors will take care of. But how will I keep the baby warmer? If I keep the baby warm, he or she will be alive. Right now, I don't have that mechanism. The incubator, the physical incubators cannot be installed at my villages. Now, when I get the problem, how to keep my baby warm, right? As a problem statement. Now, what will be a solution?
So we can develop a suit that will give a baby warm.
Bang on. See, the moment you get the problem statement, your mind will start working towards it. Yeah, let me come out with some sort of a suit now to make it warm. Put that some sort of a thermic material,
dress or something like that. Low cost.
Yes, low cost. Beautiful. See what the governments were breaking their heads. Now the sir has given the solution just like that. But that just like that answer has come because you have understood the problem statement, right? For that, but in the sense, for that problem statement, you are able to give the solution, and this solution becomes a much more feasible, right? Now I need to think out the ways, I need to get that sort of a material, synthetic materials, the waterproof material, right? And maybe I can even pour some warm water into it. The water cannot be spilled over. The baby will be warm.
Already that product is there, sir, in the market. That pillow will give you the warmthness to the baby.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm moving in that particular direction only. But I just want you to understand, when the problem statement was given, people think in different directions, right? All those things are fine. But what the university students made was they narrowed down the problem. Hey, I need to keep the baby warmer. That's what they get it as a problem statement, not as the constraint of the financial level or the physical stuffs like incubators. The moment they got the problem statement, hey, how to keep the babies warmer? And the rural people itself started saying a lot of different, started giving inputs, and they did a lot of research. As a result, they came out with a product like this. In fact, this particular case study has happened, right? It has really happened in Nepal, and the university students are from Stanford University. They are the one who popularized the so-called design thinking concept. And they can be proud enough because they were able to apply their thought process, and they came out with a physical product. The one that you're seeing on the top right corner, right? The name of the product is Embrace. And of course, they have used technology over it. They have improved upon it. But the problem is, when you focus upon the problem, right, then the solutioning will be much easier. Prior to it, it took years for people to get the problem statement, right? The government started requesting, the NGO started requesting. As a result, they got a lot of incubators, but it was not put in use. It was kept in a corner. And it has become a global sort of, it went to a global level. That's where the students from Stanford visited. They were so empathetic. Hey, a lot of kids were dying. The parents are in a different anxiety mood. How to address it? They took it up a challenge, and they come with an idea. No, that cannot be the problem here. The problem will be something else. Let's figure it out. Let's do that detective approach. They started interviewing, observing, that LDO thing, they started doing it. And as a result, this is the product that you're seeing it. Okay, guys, at this stage, I want you all to give a round of applause for yourself. Someone can pat on their back. You are so empathetic. That's where you are able to, come out with a different varied options. It clearly proves that intuitively you are all design thinkers. Already it is there. Now consciously, when you bring in to your thought process, and when you start applying it, you will start seeing the difference. Okay, having told this, what is this?
Ice cream stick.
Ice cream stick, yeah.
Okay, ice cream stick, but what the stick is doing here? Now you have to connect the dots, or you have to cook a story. Why it is here? Where is the ice? Ice has gone. Any guess what's the role of an ice cream stick here? Just a random guess.
We can use to create something like, in schools, kindergarten, a lot of kids are given a lot of activities with these ice cream sticks. So maybe you want us to create something different with this?
Beautiful, beautiful. So what sort of an activity I can give with this ice cream stick? And obviously I can give with whatever I have discussed, right? So what sort of an activity I can give with this ice cream stick? You have to make a guess. That's it, right? It could be right, wrong. That's the next thing. So it has been casually mentioned by some of my my colleagues, but okay, because you have been overwhelmed with a lot of information, you might have tend to register it. This ice cream stick can be used to define a problem statement. What problem statement? Usually a problem statement means it will go in paragraphs. In fact, it goes in multiple paragraphs. But when we do our workshop, in-class workshop, we give the participants the ice cream sticks and we give the challenge to them, and they have to define their problem statement only in this ice cream stick. Meaning what? An ice cream stick, in an ice cream stick, maximum 7 to 10 words you can capture, right?
So maybe the point you mentioned initially, that we have to be very specific and precise in defining the problem.
Correct. So only when your problem statement is crispier enough, you can be rest assured that you're clear about the problem. You're very clear about the problem. Otherwise, if you're writing your problem statement in a paragraph, you're not at all clear. Which means you have to do a lot of work to get to narrow down your problem statement. Only when you're clear about your problem, you will come up with such crispy problem statement. Basically, ice cream stick is a visual trigger for you to redefine your problem statement. In the previous case, what was the problem statement? How to keep the baby warm. That's it. The moment I see it and I can hand it over to my my colleagues, they'll be able to trigger their own thought process, and it becomes easier for you to collate the different knowledge packets. Once you know the problem statement clear, you will be able to generate a lot of solutions towards it. Hope you are getting it, right? So once you, whenever you make an attempt to solve a problem, right? Even when you ask your students to do it, then you hand over them a problem stick, this ice cream stick, and ask them to define it. Not that, sometimes, this funny thing will happen. People used to write, again, 2 to 3 lines, they make the font size pretty smaller, and they try to fit in 2 lines or 3 lines over there. The point is not that. The point is you have to use fewer words over here so that you will be able to attack your problem in a much more efficient way. Okay, this particular tool, 5i, is a very, very powerful tool to unravel the root cause of a problem. Right? It has been used in a Toyota quite a long time back. In almost every problem-solving methodology, the first step is defining or identifying the problem. It's the most difficult one. Why it is most difficult? Because when we diagnose the situation, our focus most of the times will be on the symptoms rather than on the real problem. For example, you have a headache, right? I simply suggest you to have a cup of coffee. Even after having a coffee, your headache is still there. Then you go to a doctor. He begins to diagnose you, and he will ask what sort of food you had yesterday and things like that. Based on your input, he will suggest for an acid blocker, and that will relieve your headache. The moment you go to the actual root cause, the pain point, it becomes easy to tackle that problem. Finding a problem is more important and more difficult than the solution, right? Galileo is the one who recognized the problem of needing to know the speed of light, but didn't come up with a solution. It took advances in science to solve this measurement problem. Yet Galileo still received credit for finding the problem. Sometimes, problem definition may be nothing more than the art of asking the right questions. Here you will see some of the problem statement, and by asking the right question, you will be able to narrow down, hey, what's the problem? Now that the robo stopped abruptly, now you start using this 5 Whys, right, as a tool. Hey, why the robo stop? Right, because of which you come to an answer like, the circuit was overloaded, causing a fuse to blow. Oh, now what's your the next question will be, hey, why the circuit was overloaded? Might be, whatever be the answer that will come up. There was insufficient lubrication on the bearing, so they locked up. Now, what will be my next question? Hey, why there was insufficient lubrication? The oil pump is not circulating enough oil. Oh, okay. So, why the oil pump is not circulating enough oil? The pump has been clogged by some metal shavings. Fine. So if that be the reality, hey, why the pump is clogged? There is no filter in the oil pump. Oh, now you see, now you come to a stage where you narrow down. It's because of that filter problem. That filter is not there. If I put the filter there in the oil pump, right, the robo wouldn't have stopped. Hope you are getting it. So the moment I come to that problem statement, zeroed in onto the problem statement, then I have to do the course correction. How to address this particular problem statement? Okay, I need to periodically check. I need to put a monitor to it. Say once in 10 days or once in 15 days, I need to check it, and appropriately I need to change it. That's it. Hope you are getting the whole essence. It's not about this 5 whys. Sometimes it could be 3 times. By asking this why format of questioning, right, you will be able to narrow down the problem. Or sometimes you need to even have to go 7 or 8 whys you need to ask, right, till you reach the core of the problem. And the moment you touch that base, and it is pretty much easier to solve the problem. But many a time, like the problem statement which is shown in the top of the screen, the robo stop, and people get panicked, and it takes a lot of money to repair. Immediately people get into that sort of a agitated mind, and the problem will be kept there till that the threshold limit is being crossed up. Okay, having told this, let me show you one more example. Customer is delaying the payment for the brochure that were printed and delivered to them. Right? It's like I'm owning a printing press, and I printed the brochures, and I printed the brochures and delivered to the customers. So you can visualize like this, right? For this ATAL program, the university has approached me in the sense the pressing guy, the press guy. So he printed the brochure for this ATAL program, but he is delivering the brochures today to the university. So what is the use of having this brochure being delivered today? Because the program has started by Monday, which means the brochure should have been delivered prior to Monday. Only then the value of a brochure being deployed only if it is delivered before Monday. Yes or no? That's why the customer is not willing to pay the money. He's delaying it because the problem with the press guy, because he delivered it late. Now we try to figure out the problem. Why there was a delay? Right? As I'm the owner of that press, I need to ask my workers, hey, why you made the delivery late? So when you start asking the question, right, a lot of insights you will start getting it. Might be the printing of brochure took longer than expected. Okay, why it took longer time? The printing ink stock got exhausted. Now the question is, hey, if you are having a press, means you need to have a printing ink, right? Then how come the printing ink got exhausted? No, since we have got a lot of high value order at the last minute, so all the ink got used up. Oh, if that be the case, how will we address this type of problem, right? This type of problem might occur in the future as well, right? What happens is all of a sudden 3 to different people are coming and placing a request, and all are in last minute order of high value. Are we going to give the same excuse? The moment you narrow down at the last level, okay, no, not enough stock of ink, right? Then you will chart out a plan. Okay, if such things are going to be there in the future, because you are a human-centric person, right? You start thinking, oh, this might happen in the future. If that be the case, I need to stock my go down with the appropriate resources, and also I should find an alternative vendor, alternative supplier, right, to supply me things in a pretty shorter notice. Only when things are in perspective, I will be able to take course correction, and I will be able to implement it. But if I don't get to the root of the problem statement, I will not be able to touch upon it. Hope you guys are getting it. Let's see one more thing. This will make it pretty clear. So a welder in the workshop burnt herself during the work. Now, what's your question will be? Why the welder got burnt herself? Might be, not might be, she was not wearing the protective gear. Why she was not wearing the protective gear? The reason could be it was very hot in the welding room. Why it was hot? Why it is hot in the welding room? Because no, we have fixed in ACs over there, right? The air conditioner was not functional. Oh, okay. Why the air conditioner was not functional? The wires to the air conditioner were burnt. Oh, okay. So why the wires to the air conditioner were burnt? The main socket was faulty and needs to be repaired. Oh, that's the root cause, right? Unless you touch upon this root cause, several such things will be happening. So the moment I find it, immediately I will start changing that the faulty socket over there, and I will comply to the regulations. Hope you are getting the whole idea. So now what we will do is, again, we will step on to another interesting activity. You have to make your hands dirty, go through this statement, and define the problem statement. So now, being empathetic, put yourself in that situation. Obviously, this scenario is more related to you. So what do you think, according to you, is the problem? Hello?
Sir, it is something related
So,
to
yeah,
psychological.
The trainers are not tech savvies.
Okay, tech savvies, that's okay. Yeah, that's why this program itself, right? To equip you to get that, might be that Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word, that sort of a technology training is going to be given.
Yes.
And why people are not utilizing it?
The lack of motivation.
Ma'am, what is that? Lack of?
Motivation, sir.
Oh, okay.
So one more point.
It could be nothing wrong in it. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Yes, so maybe resistance to change or resistance to accept new things.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's perfectly true. But now what this pandemic thing have forced us, you have to be online, correct? And though you might say, no, I'm not comfortable. No other choice. Now, ma'am was saying, right, the new Delta variant is also going to get popped up. Of course, we don't know. So we are forced to use this online. So being resistant to change, it will not take you places. Okay, what else?
Lack of confidence to use the technology, and
no, that's what. That's where the training is going to be provided to you.
And they are not taking the technology training.
Correct. Why they are not taking it?
It's the mindset of the people. The mindset of the people.
The mindset of the people. That's a pretty
it varies, sir.
big
It
area.
varies.
It varies.
Some take it in a very positive way, and some take it in a very negative way also. Why they will do this is not their job or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
But
Mindset is a
responsibility to teach online to our students.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
If they can't take the technology training by choice, they have to be motivated, or at least they have to be forced in the worst case.
Obviously. So there's a threshold limit for everything, right? Yes. After that, one of these parameters might come into play. Might be we will take in a very generic way. The time frame for the training sessions doesn't meet the instructor's schedules, right? Whatever be the time frame, right? That the technology company is giving, may not meet that instructor's schedules. We look from that positive angle, you know. There might be, yes, sir.
Sir, Dr. Anamma has written not free during some of the slots of the training and hence miss the flow of the training.
Correct.
So that is what time frame is.
Yes, yes, yeah. And also, as people said, right, the mindset, you know, there will be different set of people will be there. You know, what is in it for me? Obviously, you know, by having equipped with technology, it's going to take you places, no doubt about it. But still, personal reward sort of thing, and notification as a bulk thing, it is not personalized to me, right? So they might be waiting for it. Okay, at one point of time, it will be addressed to me. That point of time, I will address it. All such things can happen. Okay, so some of the problem statement I have listed it. Okay, now, guys, okay, this is okay at one level. Now, can you make an attempt to redefine this problem statements? Whatever the problem statement that you're seeing there, can you redefine it? How can you redefine the first one, the second one, and the third one? That is the problem statement, right? The time frame for the training session doesn't meet the instructor schedule. Correct. Now that I want to fit it, okay, let me put it the other way. You have to write the problem statement in the ice cream stick, right? Don't say I will reduce the font size. No, that's not the point. So 5 to 7 words, or within 5 to 7 words, you need to redefine the problem statement. So how do you do it? Make an attempt. Now the problem is staring in front of you, right? Right now we have taken these 3 problems, right? Okay, it is there, it is staring. Now we are redefining, like how Good Kitchen did, like how this this Nepal case study. We are trying to redefine the problem statement.
So maybe can it be like the training sessions are ineffective?
No, not that. See, now that you stick on to the problem statement that has been appeared, the training sessions are quite effective. It received a very good feedback. There's no problem in the training session. So right now we have got these 3 problem statements, right? Might be if that could be the one of the thing, right? So based on the feedback you received from your colleagues, the training is not effective. That's why you are not attending the program. That could be one more problem statement that we can park it. Okay.
No,
on the job training. On the job training.
What's that?
On the job training.
On the job training, yes. Okay.
It could be like scheduling training on weekends in small batches.
Weekends, okay. See, now it is given during the weekday, right? That could be included. Your work hours will be calculated. Now, when I ask for weekends, will people come? Of course, at the last resort, right?
If someone
the
has to
coercive force
learn
will be
something,
there.
definitely.
Correct. That's the individual way of learning things, right? That curious mind will always learn. Whether you provide the training or not, still they will learn it.
Sir, can I attempt?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
What if the training is integrated as a module in the teaching schedule as itself? So if that is done, it's like an ongoing training as well. At the same time, you also get feedback from your students or your users. So what if something like that is made in the system where it can be integrated in the classroom schedule, so that it's also done? There is also some sort of immediate, sort of response that you get.
Right now, I'm asking you to focus on. Right now, we have listed. This is for you to get trained on, to get your muscles to be worked upon in a particular way. Right now, we have listed 3 problem statements right here. So, with this problem statement, can you redefine them? So, which means you have to take the first problem statement. You have to juggle the words, right? So that the problem statement becomes much more crispier. Now, the problem is defined. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
May I make an attempt?
Yes. Go ahead.
Schedule the training sessions to include different time slots for the same class, include a motivational or reward system for the participants, and ensure response for notifications.
Okay, fine. That's a good attempt. But the first one is pretty lengthier. Second and third is okay. But the first one is lengthier. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Sir, an attitudinal survey can be done prior to imparting training at such time.
No, ma'am. No. So
Survey, day and date can be fixed for the training. Everyone convenient to attend the training program.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, right now we have moved on to the next one. What I've asked you to do is take the problem statement and redefine it. Can you juggle the problem statement that has been shown to you? The time frame for the training session doesn't meet the instructor's schedule. That is perfect problem statement. But my request is, can you redefine it? Can you put some other words? Can you put so that it can stick on to the ice cream stick, so that it becomes very clear to address that problem? So if I am the director, by looking at the problem statement, oh, okay, I can take a shot on this. So
can I?
Sir, can I?
Ma'am first, and then you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Can I redefine the sir, you said, as you mentioned, the second and third one is fine, and the first one was a bit lengthy, shall I reword it like make a flexible timetable for the sessions?
Right. Okay. Yeah, could be. That's a one thing. Good attempt. Wonderful. Yes, sir. Sir, you were about to say something?
Sir, reschedule, schedule according to according to,
yeah, correct. Go ahead.
Instructors
availability.
Availability. Wonderful. Good. See how beautiful it is. Okay. So that's how. Once you get to know the problem statement, see, the problem statement will be very clear to you, but someone is going to execute it, right? Or someone, you need to go make them aware so that they will be able to take the course correction. But for that to happen, you have to make your problem statement extremely crispier, so that they don't have any diversified distraction. They will be able to take the action pretty fast. Okay, here it comes.
Something?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Sir, I think they may make it a self-paced course rather than live training, so that people at their convenience can absorb it.
Okay. Good. Okay, so this is what you can say. I can say for the first one, the third one, to put it in a nutshell, lack of motivation, or I even prefer the one the professor told, right? So whatever he has told, make the instructor schedule, that one, or the ma'am have told about the timetable thing. That could be fit in for the first one, so that it becomes very clear. And I will say, oh, lack of reward. Okay, let me, if I am the person who has to take decision, okay, lack of reward is the problem. Okay, let me think about it. Lack of notification. So what else I can do? Lack of motivation. Okay, so if that be the case, what could be done? I can quickly take decision. But rather, when you look at the first and second and third, it was a pretty lengthier. And most of the time, as I told you, it won't be like this one single statement. It will be in paragraph. And that's where people don't have time to read it. First of all, I need to cognitively, I need to understand what people are trying to say, or because you're facing a problem. But when the problem statement is being codified and crystallized like this, and then when you explain it, people will be related much faster. Hope you are getting this idea. So from here, we move on to the next one, right? This, you can do it for any problem statement, right? Because the human mind is like a Google. But when you get connected with that empathetic viewpoint of your stakeholder or your customer, in your case, the students, you will be obviously narrow down to the root cause. And the moment you touch the root cause, the problem is solved. Upfront, it looks in a macro level, it looks, it gives you a different picture. But when you go and attempt, right, to touch the base, it will be altogether in a different way. So you can make an attempt. You can at your leisure time, right? And normally we take quite some time to do such things. It takes a lot of analysis has to get into your system, not in a very hurry-burried way. But these things will become a trigger for you. These things will become a possibility for you to bring in a beautiful change in your system. Okay, so this picture, if you look at it carefully, it defines the whole thing, right, of my session. These two guys were busy doing their work, but unfortunately they were not able to see what's the actual problem, right? Might be they will always say, no, the deadline is there, my boss has asked me to do it, my HOD has asked me to finish it by this, right? They always put that sort of excuse, right? It's because of which what they're doing is they're doing something like this. Like an, it's very obvious by looking at the picture, right? Without addressing the root cause, when you do it, this is how the incremental innovation will start happening. Might be, if a customer puts a lot of pressure, then it might get extended to like this. But by your heart, when you step away from the problem and you see, your stakeholders are pained by that particular problem, then obviously you will come out with the solutioning aspect, right? Of course, solutioning doesn't come at that level in a pretty easy format. You try to understand what's the root cause, right? Analyze, and then you will be able to spot on, and then solutioning becomes a much more easier. So I can also, since I showcase this primitive guys over here, I can quote from my personal experience. I'm a technical guy, software guy, but when I moved into training to the software professionals, I started my training career with the Unix operating system. All right, Unix is like a primitive thing, which means people are not much of a favor to it. In the sense, for you to use that particular technology, you need to remember a lot, meaning some 30 to 40 commands you need to remember. Only then you will be able to use that particular operating system. And very few takers are there. A big organization like Infosys, TCS, Polaris, Intellect, they used to have the Unix operating system in their workforce.
Nathan, sir, we cannot hear you right now.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when was the last time, what was the last thing that I was speaking on? For the last couple of minutes, I was keep on speaking.
No, sir, we could hear only the disturbance, sir.
Sir, we have heard about the other companies that were using Linux, whereas you have used Unix as an operating system.
Okay. Let me come to it. Okay. Yeah. So now it is audible, clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So when I started the session, I always say with my participants, this is how I do it. Guys, we have got an information from FBI that a bomb has been placed in one of the malls in the city. Now, what we are going to do is we are all trained commandos. We will be going to the mall and we will be defusing the bomb that is kept over there. We don't know how many terrorist people are there. And basically, we have to equip ourselves and then we have to go and attack the mall. Might be we will be attacking the mall exactly at night, 12 o'clock. It will be pitch dark. The mall will be pitch dark. Still, we are going to defuse the bomb. So after I post such sort of a scenario, then I will ask them, what sort of tools that we need to equip ourselves. Obviously, the first answer will be coming up, sir, we need to have a gun because, we need to protect ourselves and then we have to, shoot the terrorists. Okay, let's have a gun. And what else? We need to have a torchlight, might be head torchlight so that we can see things around because you said it's a pitch dark. Okay, I will have that. What else we need to have? Probably we should have some scanners, so that we will scan how many terrorists are there, so that we can use a drone or things like that, to track them and to shoot them. So now you will ask, come on, how Unix is being related with this sort of a scenario? I told Unix is all about commands, right? You need to remember things. So I used to ask the participant, okay, now what is the Unix command equivalent to your gun that you're carrying it right now? So people think and then they say, okay, there is a command called kill is there, right? So the kill command could be associated with your gun. So when I use a kill command, I can do something in the Unix system. Okay, you said something, I need to have a torchlight, head torchlight. So what's the equivalent command that you can find it in the Unix? Basically, torchlight, what it does, it illuminates, it gives the light so that you can see things. So same thing with there's command called directory command is there, ls command, listing command is there. By firing it, you can see the options over there. So you said scanner to see how many people are there, the terrorists. There's something called find command is there. Guys, I hope you are getting the sense. Once I collected these items, I'll ask them, so what are the tools you have? You have a gun, you've got a torchlight, you've got a scanner. What's the equivalent command? Kill command, ls command, and find command. Okay, now let's jump into the mall. So like this, I present a story and people used to like it. And whenever I conduct this program, there will be a houseful session used to happen. And I traveled all over India to conduct this particular program, which was considered to be, right, not a super duper hit program, because in the sense Unix, people have already formed an opinion. Now it has become people want to understand or people want to experience, hey, what is this? In a pretty shorter period of time, I can learn lot many new things in Unix. In fact, I used to show a James Bond movie up front, where the James Bond used to jump from a bridge, right? All such thing. He used to fire people. And I tell people, you are all going to become a James Bond, right? So think like a James Bond. What are the things that needs to be equipped upon? And then I keep that password file, encryption, decryption, and suddenly that, the excitement goes to altogether to a different level. Why I'm sharing this is, Unix is considered to be a pretty primitive language or a pretty primitive operating system. There is something called scripting also is there. People are afraid to use it. Now, after attending the training program, people love to use it because they got empowered how to deploy or tweak in certain things. The point is this: how you administer, how you tell your people matters a lot, right? So prior to it, there were no such programs being projected like the way I did. The point is, when you give that scenario to the students, make your students to be a part of it. And that's what the core of design thinking also does it. If you look at it, it talks in terms of human-centric approach. Now, in your case, what do you mean by human-centric approach with respect to your customer? Your customer is your students, right? Upfront, right now. If that be the case, hey, what will be his viewpoint when I'm delivering this particular concept to him? Will he be able to understand? Maybe, may not be. That's the place where you have to do the persona of that student, and you will understand his pain point, and you will be able to cater to his needs. and once a month or once in 20 days, you can do this journey map thing, which Ramnath was telling, right? So that you will get to know the experience, the emotional highs and lows your participants experiencing it, based on which, if your participants, most of them have told it a particular thing, their emotion went to a dip. Now you got a clear-cut picture. The problem statement is defined. Oh, this is the area where my participant, my students are not experiencing the positive note. So I need to change it. So when you come to that particular stage, either you need to change your example, or you have to come up with a different way of explaining things, or you show a PPT, or you put some videos. All such things will come into play the moment you narrow down the problem statement. Hope you're getting the idea. Yeah. So having told this, the final statement, we have come to the end of it. Any questions?
I find 2 hands raised.
Okay.
To Priya Vinod, 2541. Maybe by mistake, because Dr. Priya is not replying, maybe by mistake. So anyone else who want to ask anything, you can unmute yourself, you can raise the hand. Any questions which you have? Anything, let me see in the chat box, or if in case we have anything.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Can we have a study material so that we can refresh our memories?
As a study material, we haven't prepared one yet. But once we have it, we will share that particular thing.
I think so. They're asking for the PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint presentation will be shared upon. Yeah, that will be shared. No, I think the professor intended to ask the deeper aspects of whatever we have discussed. So
okay,
that particular thing. So guys, before we wind up, right? Even on the thank you slide, you can spot the James Bond that I was referring to as one of my examples. Can you spot the James Bond over here in the last slide?
The circle, sir.
No. Okay, circle is one thing, but one more thing is there. But for
not 7.
The mobile number 007. 007.
Saithan sir, we again lost your audio. Saithan sir, we lost your audio right now.
Nah.
Not hear you, sir. Actually. We cannot hear you, sir. Actually, sir, Satyanathan sir, we cannot hear you. Your audio is not clear.
how about now?
Yes, sir, perfectly all right.
Oh, come on, yeah. Towards the end, at least. I was quite happy. Towards the end, some technical glitch, but hope you guys have got the essence of design thinking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you can put such practices in at your workplace, and you will start reaping the results, right? So I wish you all to use design thinking and make your wings to grow and start flying. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
So
you,
it was a wonderful session. I would like to add one. Initially, when you give that example of bird, even I was searching for that design. So every time you came up with something new, And what I found at the end that as a human, we were curious to reply rather than to observe. So even as soon as I found that there are 8 birds, so we are curious to reply that rather than observe more deeply. So we need to have we have to observe more and in a better way to understand how the things work. We need to be a very good observant. So we have to observe and then we have to bring that into practice. So that was a very good learning for all of us, sir. Thank you so much for sharing the insight. It was really a very wonderful session, especially the good kitchen example which you have given. So I would like to thank all the resource person from School of Design Thinking, Dr. Ramakrishnan sir, Dr. Ramnath sir, and you sir. So it was a wonderful session. It was wonderful hearing all of you. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank my esteemed colleague, Professor Gautam Shandelia, who has been a volunteer, who accepted this to become a volunteer. So thank you, Professor Gautam. Yes, sir, a high five for him. So thank you so much, sir. And with that note, we will bring an end to this session, sir. And our next session will start at 11:30. Once again, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir was saying something.
Can I ask you an ask? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Can you recommend any books for future reading?
The Design of Business by Roger Martin. That was a wonderful classical book on design thinking. You will get a lot of insights, and the funnel model that Ramakrishnan was sharing is taken from that particular book. The Design of a Business by Roger Martin. Beautiful book. You get to see a lot of case studies.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm ending the session.
Thank you. Bye.